Hello and welcome everyone to New Earth Consciousness. I am Tanya and I'm here with Tony Piazza, and he is a sound healer. He's worked with plant medicine, he works with frequency, and it's been a bit of a journey for him to get here.
Yeah.
He's here, he made it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, thank you, Tony, for taking the time, really.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we met, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, I feel like, or at least we met because we were both involved with Healy, which is a personal frequency device. And I'm not sure why I called and connected with you, honestly, but I just remember our conversation was so, it was like, I don't know, it was just like immediate resonance. Like you had an awakening journey, I had an awakening journey. Both were very difficult, and we both experienced really a divine intervention. For me, it was in
Mhm.
Christ, and I can't remember if it was the same for you, but that's opened the door to these other realms and these other realities and your own healing path, and really just your redemption, I guess, from being sort of lost and broken to a whole nother reality, life, person. Yeah.
Yeah. I never would have guessed that this is what I'd be doing. If you had told me this 7 years ago, I would have laughed at you and told you to F off. So it's been a massive shedding of skins and remembering who I am on a soul level. So,
Yeah.
I don't know do you want me to share
Oh,
anything about it?
yeah, I mean, we whatever you feel moved to share. I know that, like, I feel what I am seeing now on the planet, and I feel like it's becoming more and more common, are people are having awakening experiences. Um, for some, like, you're not the only person I've talked to who had a suicide attempt and had like a major revelation, rebirth, awakening. Some people have had Kundalini awakening experiences, like myself. And just there's something about what's happening now that I just find really curious. Like, I don't think that I can say that this was happening, for example, in my parents' generation,
Right.
right?
Yeah. There's a definitely speed up of the awakening process right now. I've been helping a lot of different people, and they're all kind of lost as far as because they're being confronted with their masks and all the illusions that they thought who they were supposed to be don't fulfill them anymore, and so they're seeking to figure out what it is that will fulfill them and make them happy and content, and so they're all looking for truth and starting to ask the bigger questions, like who am I, why am I here, what is my purpose. And so I think in the coming years, that's going to be amplified because we got what I was shown as like
Mhm.
solar flashes hitting the earth, purifying and elevating the consciousness so that the illusion is breaking down and all the programming and all that stuff is being surfaced, all the corruption, everything's coming to the surface. So it's very confronting for people who were really locked into the matrix system and just doing 9 to 5 and just working to make ends meet and things like that. So it's been really cool to witness. And even me, I'm now having friends that I've had in high school when I was a completely different person. They thought I went off the deep end when I had my awakening, and now they're coming to me for help. So it's been really cool.
That is very cool. Wow. So tell us about, like, what for me in my own healing journey, it was really going down the path of energy medicine. Like, definitely went through a time where I was like, searching for answers to my health issues. And of course, mainstream medicine couldn't touch any of it. And it was really for me, it was Reiki that was kind of like the doorway to finding something that actually helped. And then from there, it was just like, once you start asking the right questions, it's like the universe just starts to, show you all these alternative ways of healing. And so maybe just share with us what was your healing journey like?
So I had my awakening in uh, early 2018, and I had everything wrong going in my life. I broke my back, blew out my shoulders, compressed discs in my neck, nerve damage. Lost my job because I was in and out of the hospital. A girlfriend cheating on me. I just met my dad, who I didn't know my whole life, and he was dying of cancer, and I couldn't leave to take care of him. Um, I was on probation, and the judge hated me. No matter what I did, she'd try to throw me in jail. So it
Mm.
was just horrible, and I wanted to exit because I'd had enough. And
Yeah.
then nearly died in my sleep. And then I had turned myself in the VA, and that was part of like the first step to my surrendering and asking for help. And
Hmm.
then when I got out that day, um, cops showed up at my door to take me to jail because I missed a probation hearing, and my soul was trying to leave my body. I was stumbling around, almost fainting. And then I was like, if they get in this house, I'm going to cut my throat. I'm not going back to jail. And so I fall on the ground, like I couldn't even balance. My soul was trying to leave, and
Yeah.
I hit the ground crying. And I was like, if there is a higher power, please make them go away. I'll do whatever you want. And the cops left. And then that night, I had vivid dreams about the Holy Trinity, man and woman combining into light, frequency and vibration.
Mm.
And I woke up at 3 in the morning to three loud bangs on my door, no one there, and just getting downloads of information, thinking I'm going insane. So I'm researching all of that. And it led to Bach, the composer, and his compositions on the Trinity. And then I pasted all of his Trinity ones in my notes, and the only one highlighted in blue was Saint Michael, which I'm named. My middle name is named after Archangel Michael, and I was like, that's weird. So I pulled it up on YouTube, and I played that song, and my whole body was flooded with this charge and energy. And I felt this overwhelming sense of love and peace that I'd never felt before in my life. And I just started bawling, and I collapsed. And then I was out of my body looking at myself. And I said, I am so sorry for how I've been living. Please give me guidance and use me as a conduit. And I was just filled with this immense love and understanding, and uh, crazy downloads. I thought I was going insane. But the following night, I was researching all this stuff all day. Following night, I had a dream, um, where my friend from fifth grade, he was in my apartment, and he's yelling, "The cops are here! The cops are here!" And then this is also symbolic in a way. I found out later. I figured out later, but and I ran out, looked out the window, no one was there, and then my phone on the counter rang, and I pick it up, and I'm like saying hello, and you can hear people talking, but it was like I was butt dialed. And then it gets really clear, and it says, "He's going to be the one that's stepping up." And I was like, "Are they talking about me?" And it registered as a yes. We're going to um, push this to happen faster than we expected. We're giving him keys to the fourth something. And I wake up 3 in the morning, downloads, researching. It's going into biblical stuff, and I feel like I'm missing something. So I go to walk outside. I missed a step, but I'll just do this. Um, but anyway, so it was like all of these really incredible events and manifestations, even on the physical level. When I went to walk outside, three $1 bills fell from my door, and there was a rock with the engraving that said "Live" on
Wow.
it. And I was just like, who is messing with me right now? And it was just this constant bombardment. And then the third night, I had dreams, and they basically said, "Are you sure you want to take this path? It's not easy." And I said, "I humbly accept. Please give me guidance." And then I felt weight come over me, and I kneeled down, and what came back up, and I had golden armor on, and they said, "So and so can no longer touch you anymore." And ever since then, I haven't even had to seek things out. The door's open, and I'm meeting healers and shamans and holistic doctors around the world, and doing extensive work with frequency, light, and sound healing, hands-on healing, quantum long distance healing, and things like that. I mean, it's taken a while for me to fully trust, and I'm still trusting the process, as there's layers to the awakening process and surrendering into it. But yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's so much here, and it's really hard for me to like, okay, what what can I where do I go first? Um, so as you know, where you mentioned this quickening,
Hmm.
and from what I have seen and understand that like kind of like the deeper you go into healing, whether it's through plant medicine or deep hypnosis like Dolores Cannon's work or whatever, like things just start to get like reality just starts to blur more and more. And it's like, oh, yeah, there is so much more here than we realize. Like, I feel like people go, I don't know. It sounds like your awakening was very, it was very rapid. I feel like some people when they go through a healing crisis and they're seeking a healer because the medicine's not working or whatever, and they seek out a healer, they seek out some kind of alternative. It's almost like that's the entry point to
Hmm.
the realization like, oh yeah, I'm not just a physical body, I'm not even just my mind, like there's so much more. I mean, I know like for myself that um I've just had so many dreams where it's like, oh yeah, I was that in that life, and then there's this life, like it's not just, we're not just here as this one person, we've lived many lives and even being on different planets. And um, so,
Yeah, I think it's like when the part of their matrix breaks down because it's not helping like it's supposed to, whether it be medical or any other form, it's just then they have to seek alternatives, and then that's when the seeds are planted, and then they start getting curious and looking deeper into things and leaning. Mine was a very rapid, and they even said that in the dream, we're going to push this to happen faster than we expected. I didn't know what that meant until now, but I've been really put on a fast tracks. Like it's been nonstop. And I actually get worried when it slows down because I like that pace.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, everyone's pace is different, and it is like a when you're going through the shedding of the programming, it can be very intense and almost make you feel like you're going insane if it happens too fast for some people. So some people have to take it more slow. I like to throw myself into the fire and see what happens, and then report back, kind of thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's been really cool to kind of witness um, humanity start to question things, and it's uncomfortable. It requires immense courage, but it's the most liberating thing that we can do for ourselves.
It does, yeah, and that really lands for me, the courage to step out of the matrix. And I feel like there's, for myself, it's like, okay, yeah, I know that's like where I need to go. I want to get out of the matrix, but it also requires like, okay, well then you have to let go of everything that you've ever known before. Like
Hmm.
your whole way of living life and, you know, creating an identity for yourself and, doing all the things to try to like whatever manage. Like we're always in that state of separation of trying to manage or control the outcome, right? And so, um, so when we choose to let go, I'm sure can feel like when you really do let go, like being in a slipstream. Like that's when you're talking, like imagine like you get into these slipstreams where it's just like, like suddenly, when you let go and say yes, there's just like something happens and creation is conspiring around you to, because I feel, I believe we live in a loving universe, right? And we're children of God, and obviously what we're seeing right now is not so pretty, and that's really not what creation intended for humanity, I don't think. But we're definitely at this choice point, right?
Yeah, the part about like it's not all love and light. It is really, it requires like courage, like I said, and we have to face the darkness within ourselves and uh in the world in order to be transmuted and to move beyond it, to get to break free from the judgments and the hatred and the lower vibrational emotional patterns, um, and rise above duality into unity consciousness. So, like Robert Edward Grant did 3 hypnotherapy regressions with Sarah Breskman and Cosme, and those are really powerful. And they really resonate with a lot of what I've been shown in my visions and my ceremonies and experienced. And he talks about um, essentially this is the end of, like we're about to graduate or not, right? So it's about truly living from love, and love doesn't mean passivity. It's actually requires accountability and integrity, and really looking within yourself to purify your heart and mind so that you can be a conduit for God to work through without judgment. And you're essentially like, we're seeing the unfolding of good versus evil right now,
Mhm,
and a lot of people get caught up in the noise of it and try to pick sides, and in
mhm,
reality it's all just showing you what was hidden beneath the surface so that we can take that information in as souls so we don't ever go back to this place again, and how corrupt it went, and all of that. So as it unfolds, and I've been shown that, I mean, we're going into a golden age, but like Dolores Cannon, and even he talks about the split, and even in the Bible, and that's basically the purity of your heart and your intentions. And if you're able to let go of judgment and all the other lower vibrational thought patterns, and to rise above into the new earth. And it put me in that my recent ibogaine back on 888 of last year.
mhm.
Um, and I was put into the new golden age, and I was filled with so much unconditional love, joy, bliss, this euphoria that was profound, like way bigger than anything. And I had pure divine clarity and knowing. There was no more lower level analytical thinking mind. There was no option to go there. It was pure unity consciousness. I was telepathically communicating with the earth, the trees, the plants, the animals, and blessing everything, speaking an ancient language. And it's just, it's pure unity consciousness and peace, where there is no more deceit or masks, because we're going to be able to see through every individual that we approach and understand their journey and have love and compassion for everybody and their gifts and to this world, as they rise in um, their own like soul blueprint. So
So, yeah, so Ibogaine, yeah, I mean, it's like everybody just soak that in for a minute. Like that's what you're sharing is extremely potent. The words that you're speaking. Um, I'm curious about because I haven't done much plant medicine. I've done psilocybin. That's about it. I haven't done ayahuasca or DMT or any of these other medicines. But I'm curious. So when you have such a profound experience that is so seemingly otherworldly, right? Like you're talking about this state of being that's beyond anything you've ever experienced. And then you come out of that experience and you have to come back into this third dimension reality and, get back in the meat suit, whatever, and go about your life. What's the integration process for that? Like getting that information and then actually, you know, doing
well,
something with it.
I'll tell you that it created impatience in me. That's one of my biggest lessons in this life, is patience. Um, but it also ignites that pure faith and knowing that everything's going to be okay. Like, I
Mhm.
have no fear of death. I don't have fear of anything, and I've faced off with demonic stuff and reptilians, and I get put through hardcore initiations because of the work I do. I have to be able to deal with it, and help others and do removals if I need to and stuff. So I'm someone that if I have a fear come up, I get curious and I lean into it, because it's all illusion, right? If we are all powerful eternal souls and this is just a game we're playing, like none of it matters. When we disconnect from our body at death, it's like shedding a shirt. Like people we're not attached to it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that was fun, and our whole life that feels like it's forever to the soul is like a blink of an eye. But the integration is really taking that wisdom and knowing and spreading that light and that positivity. And when you walk in faith, people can sense it. You can talk all you want, but if you don't believe what you're saying, people aren't going to trust it, right? So
Yeah.
I'm constantly putting things out on Twitter. I like Facebook and Instagram shadow ban me hardcore, so I got on X and as Awakened Veteran 22, and that's all I do is post these spiritual truths and positivity, and I share my visions. And I understand that timelines can shift and change, but I do believe that I've been shown main segments of what's supposed to happen and where we're headed. And I'm always open to being wrong as well. I think that's one of the big things in the journey. You can get really caught up in certain belief systems and black and white thinking, and it's way more complex than that. So if you can be open to learn no matter what, and let go of what you think you know for truth, no matter how painful that is, then you're able to navigate and really see the truth in everything, and understand the divine orchestration in everything. And I think that as humans, we like to try to control and manipulate and force things and get upset when it doesn't go our way. And I'm guilty of all of this. And like once we can fully let go and surrender and be like present in the now and happy and in gratitude, not needing or seeking anything, the universe already has your highest path awaiting you, but your constant bombardment of your desires and like expectations is blocking you. So when you can let that go and step back and just trust, that's when the doors start to open and it becomes easy. So that's a lesson that I keep stumbling through, and start laughing at myself because I know better. But it's just a process of surrender and allowance and being present. And that's more difficult than you can think. Like I do a lot of breath work exercises, and instead of trying, like I'll feel the pains in my bodies and just kind of be present with everything without trying to change it or figure it out, and just be at peace and observe. And it's really, that's something that we need to cultivate, because instead we're getting everything from all this stuff to get reactions out of you, because they feed off of your energy. And if you can be in a neutral observer that walks in love, they have no power, right?
Right.
So
Yeah. Well, that's kind of my experience. Like you brought up, demons, which to me are just kind of like, well, if everything is a reflection of who we are, you know, and whether it's a demon or an angel or whatever, it's like encountering that fear, and it's like, okay, you get to choose. Are you going to shrink back and be like, oh my god, there's a demon? Or are you going to be like, oh, there's a demon, like,
yeah,
I see you, like, there's no fear, and then it's just like it dissolves.
yeah.
um yeah so
I
I'm
think
yeah.
being okay to be in the presence of darkness without freaking out is like where your strength comes in. That's where being in a neutral observer,
Yeah.
because we think we have to battle, and that happens. Like there's people with spiritual paths where they're doing these, but I prefer to um, face the fear that comes up in me when I'm seeing these things, and then get curious, and then also help them cross over, because a lot of these darker entities are now capitulating and leaving because they know they're losing. So there's no point. And We've all played roles in the dark or the light. I was shown, like, I've had really gruesome dark lives, and I've been walking with Jesus. So it's like, um, and when I was shown these things, we get caught up in black and white, good and bad, but our soul is above duality. And we come into the duality game so that we can go really deep disconnected in the darkness, and then find our way back to the light where we're from. And there is no judgment on the soul. It's like your soul wanted to go experience being a murderer,
Mm-hmm.
and we think that's horrible. So they were showing me these things where I was torturing and killing people in lives, and it was really hard for me to look at without judging myself.
Yeah.
And then they made me observe this until I could look at it with unconditional love and understand that this is just the dense reality where we can experience all levels of it. And I think advanced souls have gone to great depths on both ends so that they can truly understand it through their own experience. And we're basically fragments of God exploring itself. So we're in a duality polarity environment, and now you're being tested. You have a choice: fear, love, or fear. And so what are you going to do with that?
Mm-hmm.
And walk in unconditional love and compassion, and seek truth and non-judgment. Which is, the judgment part's hard. Like, we all judge ourselves and others, and it's something that's a daily practice to catch yourself and kind of withdraw and understand that everything is divinely orchestrated. Their soul is choosing that part of their journey, and if you're not going to assist and help, send them love and keep it moving.
Yeah. So, so in all of that, why can you answer or speak to why are the ETs making so much contact right now?
I wouldn't consider myself an expert on this, but I do believe that they are here to assist in the awakening and ascension process,
Mm-hmm.
and for humanity to break free from the prison of thinking that we're all that is, and everything outside of it's evil and demonic. So a lot of the religious people who are super dogmatic just group all ETs as bad, and they don't understand, just like humans, there's good and bad of everything, right? So
Mm-hmm.
um, it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds and how people react. But I've worked with many ET beings, and a lot of people who do ceremony with me end up on ships. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like you go into an ER and you have all these divine beings working on you and doing healing work. And I was being taught how to channel light language, and
Mm-hmm.
um, it's just really profound experience. And the thing is, the positive ETs, they have directives where they cannot interfere on free will, and they don't want to cause harm.
Mm-hmm.
So the dark ones don't play by that game. They're feeding off of us, right? So uh, it's been a dance, but I think that has changed recently, because Earth is coming to that shift point where it needs assistance in ascending, and we've decided to ascend with the planet, and while being on it, which I apparently Dolores Cannon said that's never been done, or it's rare. So I think that with their assistance, and they're also helping us with creating technologies and healing modalities and everything. And I've had lifetimes as ETs that have come up. So it's just, curiosity is way better than blocking things out and rejecting it. And that's what a lot of people do. It's black and white. They don't want to look at it. It pushes their boundaries too much, and there's a lot of fear that comes up. But this is all about facing your fear and leaning into it and getting curious and letting God unfold everything for you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's interesting that you said you had an experience with light language. It was the same for me in an astral realm where I had never heard of light language before, but I had this experience where it was like it was light, moving light, and I was very, very aware, like, oh, this is a language. This is how they speak, they who they are. But it was extremely bright and extremely powerful. It had a lot of light. And anyway, it was interesting. And now I'm seeing light language popping up all over the place of all kinds. Like there's Facebook groups of people doing light language, and so I don't know, it's such an interesting time to be alive, to see all of this sort of um this new story that's being birthed. It's kind of like it makes me think of like Joseph Campbell's work of um the myths and everything, and how like in each culture there's this connection of similar stories, like, and so when I think of light language, or I think of like this awakening, it's like it's happening like all over the planet. It's not culture specific,
Right.
so it's really interesting. So you mentioned that you work with sound, and so you have a really
Oh,
cool tuning fork. Yeah,
yeah.
talk about that.
So my buddy Josh, or on Instagram, it's earth_tuned. Got to download an ayahuasca to make these tuning forks, and they vibrate for like 10 minutes straight, and they're really powerful. And I use them to like heal people. It's kind of like an extension of me, and I can feel the energy field and move and pull things out. And when I serve medicine, you're way more aware of sound and vibration, and you actually, like, people will see colors and they can see the energy moving and things like that. So you can do it, like place it on your chest and it vibrates through your body. This is for the heart chakra. But yeah, these are amazing and incredible, really powerful tools that everyone loves, that ever, like, when if you sit down and let a few of us hit all of our forks, you go into, like, you could probably, like, it feels like you're going into a portal and different dimensional consciousness. It's really, really cool.
Oh man, I mean, I feel like we're just barely scratching the surface now when it
Mhm.
comes to sound, or at least remembering. I mean, I think that we've had this knowledge of sound and its power to do lots of different things, but it's sort of it's just coming back, this realization of how the body responds to frequency, the cells, the DNA, everything. um, Another woman that I met, Carla, she also uses tuning forks, not big ones like that, but she's got the tuning forks, and tuning the biofield, and she had this experience of connecting with the ancestors, for example. Like, it also has the power, not only I think to work at the physical level, but also to make contact in these other dimensions. Is
Hmm.
is is that what you've found to be true?
Yeah. Well, I think it also, like, puts you in altered states of consciousness or different brainwave states so that you can more easily access those things. Um, yeah, sounds amazing. I can't wait to have my own place. I'm gonna have all the gongs and all these sound tools, because it really, like, and in plant medicine ceremonies, it amplifies and guides your journey. So like your playlist is very important, or if you're playing live music and singing, and it the energy, it feeds the visions and opens the doors to a lot of magic. So I have a lot of inventions in my mind of combining technologies. So when this shift happens, I'm going for it. But
Uh-huh. Yeah. And then you also brought something else to share, some artifacts from Mexico. Uh,
yeah,
and so obviously, I mean, what you're going to show us, like, it's mind blowing. Like, how
it
old are
is
these?
crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, the dating is saying like 6 to 12,000 years old or more, so it's pretty wild. Essentially, if you go to aliencarvings.com, my friend Mike's website, he went down there to Mexico to debunk these alien artifacts, and now he's one of the biggest uh, collectors because of all the testing that was coming back. It was blowing his mind. He's written books on it. I met him like 3 or 4 years ago, and then I made a donation, and I received two pieces. I didn't know what I was gonna get, but there's a crazy story behind these, so I'll just show them to you. But these are dug up in Mexico, and this is one of them. It's an alien skull.
What kind of stone is that? Is that
It looks
amethyst?
like fluorite,
Oh, okay.
and then it's got a little nick out of its head right there. It's super heavy. So with this one, I had a psychic friend tell me it was from Atlantis, and I didn't really believe that. I always doubt things until spirit shows me directly or there's enough synchronicities.
Yeah.
Doubting Thomas, but um, so, and then in my first retreat, a lot of people will go on ships when they do medicine with me and get worked on. It's like going into an ER and you have all these beings working on you and activating you. And it's really, really profound experience. But so she went in and immediately put her arms up, and we knew she was taken on a ship. We're all like looking above. And then we were working on her, and then she came back. And right when she sat up, she looked at me and my girlfriend and another person and said, "We were there building the pyramids with our minds in sound." And I had been told that by a couple channelers that I was there for that, and I was just blown away. And then she didn't know anything about this. She knew that I had it, but like that was it. Like people just kind of like it was the first day, so I didn't really get to talk about any of this.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that skull was ours in Atlantis, and we used it to access our ships and escape, and no one died. And I was just blown away. So I've been like people receive activations from this, messages, downloads. I'm actually taking it to the Conscious Life Expo to see what other things will come from it. But it's really cool and it's crazy. It's like Indiana Jones type stuff. But yeah, and then I got this one. Maybe I should turn the light on real quick.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, so there's this one.
Huh. Is that actual gold, or what are the eyes made out
Yeah,
of?
it's a gold compound that they mixed a bunch of different metals,
Oh, wow.
and I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, so it's really
It almost looks like it's on a cow skull or something.
yeah.
Like,
So this is serpentine stone mask with all the inscriptions, and then it was placed pretty much perfectly on the skull bone of
oh,
a
okay.
cow. I haven't tested this bone, but they tested other bones that were coming up. Like there's a skull, and they ran tests on it, and it came back as nothing found on Earth, but it was like a mix of bovine and aquatic animal. And on
Wow.
the top of the skull, it has these beings that are all over these artifacts that are ETs, but they have like squid faces and wings like angels. And that's what was carved on it. So it's kind of crazy. And then all these artifacts depict like ETs, a lot of Egyptian stuff, and creation of man and DNA alteration and hybridization and different things like that. Which I mean, Dolores Cannon goes into this stuff a little bit, and
Mhm.
you'll get into that. And then this one, it's like two different ETs,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
this stone glows in the black light. It's crazy. And then this actually depicts what that lady saw. So,
Oh,
and so let's see if you guys can see it, but let's see.
yeah, hold it there for a second. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see someone holding something up, and it's like they're pointing something up in the sky. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, they're holding an alien skull, and then up here there's a ship.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. And then on the side of it, it's got language.
It's so, I gotta say, this reminds me, yeah, that language. I was literally going to we had to spend the night at the Seattle airport area, which is total dive of an area. It's nothing much there. But we wanted to go for a walk. We're like, well, looks like there's water over there. Let's go walk over to the pier. And I'm walking along, and this random building has this big mural of like some guy fishing and like a UFO and like beams coming down. I'm like, what is up with that mural? I go over there and it's like this memorial, like this, it's got a plaque on it, and then it has this like steel rod that's got this alien language on it. I'm like, how random is this? I'm in the middle of
Right.
like literally across the street from a like a liquor store, and there's this thing like just like it's nothing, you know. I was just like, this is trippy. Like, what is this? You know? And it looked just like that language that you're talking, that was on the
Yeah.
side. It looked just like that. And apparently, I guess in that area, there was some big thing that happened in the 50s of some some kind of UFO encounter. And I don't know where they found that language, or, but it was, yeah. Yeah, it's just, it's really interesting. And more, I feel, yeah, just the veils are thinning,
Yeah.
and I feel like and I so you know Dr. Stephen Greer, right?
Yeah.
Of course,
Yep.
right? Um, so I had downloaded his app. He's got an app for making ET contact, you know, like you just do this meditation, you play this tone, whatever. And one night with my two boys, and they were, I think my oldest was maybe 16 or 17, and my younger one was maybe 11 or something, maybe 10. And it's summer, and I said, "Hey boys, let's go outside and let's try this app. Like, I don't know. let's let's see if we can make ET contact." They're like, "What? Okay, sure." So we go out and we're doing this meditation. You know, it's like rum, rum, rum. You're repeating this meditation. And we lay down and we start looking up at the sky. And it's a totally clear night, just all the stars. And so we're just laying there. And suddenly we're like, oh, there's one. And it was like, you know, it was like moving randomly.
Yeah.
Suddenly, once you see one, we all, me and my two boys, literally, there were hundreds of them, hundreds.
Really?
They were like all over the place. I'm like, oh my God, there's another. And they're like, oh yeah, there's one there and there's one there. And suddenly the whole sky was moving. We were not on drugs. my, my two boys. Um, you know,
Wow.
and yeah, it was really, we haven't done it since, but I was like,
Yeah.
what is, you know, what's going on here?
And
Because the things are not.
even with all of my experiences, I still think that unconscious responses to things that are so far outside of the norm can really be shocking to the nervous system.
Yeah.
So even with me, I feel and know them. I don't get to see them. Like I can tell that it's
Hmm.
that. And then
Hmm.
they gradually eased in me seeing brief glimpses of them and
Yeah.
stuff because they don't want to cause harm or trauma. So they're trying to ease your consciousness into accepting and being able to see that.
Hi, hey, hang on just a
Yeah,
second.
good.
Hold on. Okay. Someone just walked in, was wondering.
Oh, you're
Um,
good.
yeah, I feel like it takes, I think the reason why we saw it was because we were in a different brainwave state,
Yeah.
right? Like, so there's all these different,
Just love and curiosity. Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it was really cool. Um, Are there anything else you wanna share? Like, what are you up to these days? You were talking about, before I got on the call, when we were talking before, you, were talking about traveling the world and going to these different places on the earth to,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, to these ley lines, or these, grid points, I guess, of the planet that are considered sacred, like,
Hmm.
right? Sort of like portals to, the earth herself, like different parts of her body. Um, did you wanna share about that?
Yeah. So the medicine I make is not like anything else out there. Um, I say changa, but mine's way different than most changa medicines, which is smokable. Like it's DMT and then an MAOI, and most changa lasts like 25 minutes max. Mine is like 45 minutes to 2 hours, and it has all these flowers and sacred flowers and herbs and different things that I was guided to make it with for ceremonial use. And I had talked to a channeler a couple years ago, and she basically said, right now, you're healing the soil or the normal people, and eventually you're going to be healing the change makers of the world. And I kind of laughed at her. And then she also said, you're going to be using plants from different parts of the world that are going to help people heal, but you're actually going to be healing the earth through the use of these plants. And I was like, well, what are they? Are they DMT containing plants, or what do I need to be looking for?
Mhm.
And she's like, I don't know. And so I was stressing out. And then 2 years later, I met Shaman Omar, who we're about to sit in ayahuasca with. All of us that facilitate ceremony are going to go in really deep to heal and clear anything we need to, and then get direction on what we are to build and create throughout the year. But he is incredible, and he spent years in the jungle. He sings in 5 different languages, and he
Mm.
speaks way more than that. And he knows like the history of all the religions and can blend it in with what's occurring in the spirituality aspect of it, and things like that. And I told him how I make it, and he's like, that's not changa, right? I'm like, well, yeah, I guess I need to name it. And he's like, this is amazing. And then he's like, I know what we need to do to make it better, if you don't mind. I'm like, I'm open. And he's like, you need to get certain plants from different areas around the world. And some of those were like in biblical areas where Moses talked to the burning bush and all this other stuff, to
Mhm.
bring in that energy into my medicine. So my next batch is going to be on a whole other level. And I'm still going to be learning because I don't know everything, right? And I don't know what like area I need to look in. So I just have to trust the unfolding of everything.
It's like you have the conception and the vision. Now it's like, okay,
Yeah.
just allow it to unfold. Yeah.
And then I've traveled around the world a little bit, but um, with that shaman, he's actually planning on building a retreat where it's 10 days where we jump around the biblical sites and do ayahuasca for like personal healing. Because he actually had neck surgery where they put a plate in, and it was right behind his voice box. And as a shaman, you need to be able to sing to move the energies, and it ruined his voice. He didn't have one anymore. And I think it was where Moses talked to the burning bush. He did ayahuasca by himself, and they healed his voice. And now it's like he's got titanium right behind the voice box, and when he sings, it adds a different dimension. It's like a tuning fork stroke, kind of crazy. But yeah, so I basically what I do is I do one-on-one ceremonies, and I've helped people from all walks of life, including like first responders and veterans and things like that, which is I really enjoy. I think I'm going to start a community for men in those positions as veterans and first responders with PTSD to help have a system where you can reach out. Um, but so I do one-on-ones with my medicine, and then I also do small retreats with about 15, 20 people, and we do sassafras, which is a big heart opener. You're just filled with pure unconditional love, and you can heal your traumas and really remember your inner child and learn to trust and accept and things like that. And some people channel light language on it and get
Mm.
immense downloads and clarity. And then we take a day off to do like breath work and all the other stuff we have, biohacking stuff. And then the following 2 days we do changa ceremonies. Um, and then so I'm going to be planning some of those. I've been waiting for this ayahuasca ceremony just to get clarity on the next move. And then we're also going to be planning ayahuasca ceremonies for people as well with this shaman. So right now I'm between LA and Arizona, but I'm looking at Pennsylvania, New York, um, Florida, and Wyoming, Montana. So we'll see how it unfolds. But it's such a humbling experience to get to do this work because I mean, I go through bouts of doubting myself. Am I really supposed to be doing this? And I always get spirit like comes through other people that do medicine with me to give me confirmation that they're proud. You need to keep doing this because I'm always cautious because there's a lot of people that go into ego
Yeah.
and greed and self-importance, and I don't want it to be something that I'm just doing to feel special or good about myself. Like I just want to serve from the heart and make
Yeah.
sure that I have accountability and integrity. And I think it's important that we check in with ourselves because I've seen a lot of healers fall off the deep end when things go to their head or they just, so I think it's very important to constantly check yourself and seeing what is truly driving your actions and make sure that it's in the purity of unconditional love and service. Um, but yes, and I have also started helping serve Ibogaine, which is that one's the most intense. And that one, um, ayahuasca is a beautiful medicine, sacred door. It's like a stern, loving grandmother that makes you face your shit and then shows you creation and the cosmos and the beauty and connection of nature and the Mother Earth and but she definitely sits you down and makes you look at your stuff and then you purge it and then you get to keep going. But my changa is kind of like smokable ayahuasca. It's not as like it's intense like that. There's no purging typically, and it's 45 minutes to 2 hours, and you're back to normal. Like there's no come down. You're not. I call it businessman's ayahuasca because you can come do it on a long lunch break, go back to work. Um, and then so Ibogaine is 16 to 24 hours typically. And for me, my first one was 24 hours and my second one was 37 hours. And this medicine is incredibly powerful. So ayahuasca visions are kind of mystical and they'll be clear and stuff, but a lot of it's symbolic as well. So you kind of have to figure it out sometimes. With Ibogaine, for me, it's very direct and literal. Like I'm remote viewing and I'm watching moments from my whole, I had my whole life review and all this trauma that I didn't remember and different things. And you get to feel and see everyone in that play that's going on, like where they're coming from and why. And so I saw the trauma my mom endured. And then I saw the trauma my dad endured that shaped who they were. And this is what's playing out and the karmic ties with everything and how it's weaving together in perfect divine orchestration that's beyond anything you could fathom. It's just hyper intelligence of everything. And you can ask questions direct to source and be shown directly. I was remote viewing and able to be anywhere at any point in time. And it's just as clear as we're seeing right now. It's amazing. And then I mean, I've worked with ETs there too. The first one, I asked for healing of my back and posture, and I see an ET in front of me, and he points left, and I look, and there was what I would call med beds, and I was a hologram in one of them, and I started approaching it, and then my physical body flattened out, and I just had vibrations going up and down my spine, and it was incredible. And then after the 24 hours was up, I stood up and went out into the living room, and my girlfriend and my buddy are looking at me like wide-eyed, like what happened in there? I was like, a lot. What do you mean? And they're like, you look like you reversed age 10 years and your posture's perfect. And I was like, I know, right? And so the unfortunate thing is I was supposed to meditate daily to anchor in that new vibration, and I just got cocky and it slowly faded away. So I know that these miracle repairs on the body are possible.
They're possible.
Yeah. And I just have so much deep reverence and respect for these medicines. Like I don't do these recreational or like if I'm not doing it like purely intentional and truly ready to surrender and face anything that's in my way of truly walking in my purpose, you know. So I think that the more that you sacrifice and the more the purity of how you approach these things and sincerity, spirit recognizes that and you get more out of them. So that's why you have people that do them and they get the light show and sure they'll have cool experiences, but they don't get the really life-changing wisdom and knowledge of self and stuff unless you're really going in with that sincerity.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not judging people who do that. They can do whatever they want. But for me, it's the most religious experience you'll ever have in your life. You're going to meet God and the divine, and it's something that I can talk about until my face is blue. But until you experience it, like you'll never grasp it. It's so profound and incredible. So I always like guide people through the process, and I tell them kind of what to expect, and they're like, they don't have any words. They're like, but they're back in their heart and they're at peace with no matter how chaotic their life looks. And they begin to trust life, and it's really, really cool.
Yeah. Have you seen in any of your visions, like, well, just the future? Like, I think of, when you're describing all these plant medicines, like, I think to myself, like, wouldn't it be wonderful if, like, all the world leaders and the people that are running the show just go out and, like, do some do some plant ceremonies, and get the medicine and,
It
you
should be required.
right? I mean, what have you, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
So for the future stuff,
Yeah.
um, my first Ibogaine, this was in 2020. I was working with a doctor helping Navy SEALs, and he allowed me to do it, which was really awesome of him. And so the future things that I saw in that one, I saw China preparing. I saw a cataclysmic event in Louisiana. I saw China preparing for war, but I didn't see a war happen. I saw another country with a red flag, and it felt like it was evil. I don't know if that's Taiwan. And then I saw toxins and poisons being dropped from airplanes, which we know the chemtrails and all that stuff is going on. And then I saw thousands of dead people wrapped in white plastic on floating barges off the coast of somewhere. And then I witnessed the collapse of Wall Street that shocks the world, a brief reset period, and then it showed me picking people up off the street and handing them those handfuls of this multicolored currency, saying, "Get up, we're okay now, we've been liberated, let's go." And so then later I learned about like Nasara and Jasara and the new rainbow treasury notes and the quantum financial system. So I've been heavily investing in all these things. But I saw a collapse of all the old corrupt systems. And then in my recent one, I actually saw like the Trump assassination in slow motion. And I didn't think it was real before this. I thought it was theater, but I wasn't sure. So anyways, I'm there and it's slow motion and I see the bullet fired, and then it shows like a hand reaching out, and the bullet hit the ring on the finger and shattered, and that's what saved his life, and it just clipped his ear.
Oh, really?
And I don't know if that was an actual human's hand because of the angle, or if it was like divine intervention, angelic kind of thing. But and then I saw the election, and I saw how they were trying to funnel votes and cheat, and then Trump still wins. I saw the world celebrating him, and then I saw mass hoarded wealth across the world, like everyone was thriving. And then I went into the golden age where I was in that state of high state of consciousness that I told you about. So every time I do it, it's a little different, but I have a lot of events that like I get shown and they happen. Like there's a plane that went down in Brazil with 8 cancer doctors, and I saw that exact plane crash the day before, and then it was on the news. So the spirits always, because I doubt so much, they have to give me something that gets validated immediately,
Yeah.
So it's been really, really cool. I'll be sharing my ayahuasca experience that's coming up on February 22nd, and then the next time I do Ibogaine, I'm going to record it. But I intend to go back to when these artifacts were created and just witness it, because in my last Ibogaine, I was actually taken there where we were building the pyramids with our minds in sound. We were focusing and levitating stones, and then some were putting them in place, and it was so profound. But I think that there is no fantasy. All of these things exist on a dimensional plane, and we're tapping into that.
Yeah.
So like I saw unicorns just like I was looking at a horse, and it was there. When I was in the medicine, I was able to speak and share what I'm being shown, and the nurses were taking notes. And I was like, holy shit, unicorns are real.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like I've heard, like, if you can imagine it, it exists somewhere.
Yeah.
It exists somewhere in some
And
dimension.
there's stuff beyond your imagination that exists. I was being shown so much bizarre, weird, crazy things, but um, where we're going is incredible. It's just our duty to purify our hearts and minds, and truly live from love for ourselves and others, and have compassion and non-judgment. And I think the non-judgment part's really hard for people because they want to pick sides, and they go into the spiritual war that's going on. But the way you
Yeah.
break free from that war is doing your inner work and purifying yourself for God to work through, and um, rising above the duality. When enough of us do that, then that game ends. But right
Yeah.
now, people are fueling it with their fear and anger and
Yeah.
judgment, and so the people that are like the black pillars that are doom and gloom, they're actually fueling that timeline, because we are creator beings, and so what you put in your mind creates or speak. So be mindful of what you're energizing. If you're in direct danger, then obviously do something. But if you don't, be like daydreaming about the worst case scenario, because you'll manifest experiences that resemble your own inner thought processes. So one of the big things that I got into right in the beginning of my awakening was reprogramming of my subconscious mind, and getting out of victimhood, and like waking up tired and in pain, and that's all I keep repeating myself, you know. And so then I went deep into like motivational videos. Neville Goddard, his complete reader book on audio
Mhm.
uh, is amazing. And then Abraham Hicks is another one. But it's got to be consistently planted in your brain, and then your brain will eventually shift in how you're perceiving things. And so you're living from gratitude and awe and wonder, and then the universe keeps delivering on that. But if you're living in anxiety and fear and anger, then you're going to just get triggered, untriggered, because the universe is like, oh, they like this here because it's neutral. The universe is neutral. It matches your vibration, you know?
Mhm.
So it's very important to be mindful of your diet, not just what you're consuming, like eating, but what you're taking in mentally and emotionally. And um, we're going through a purification, and I'm excited. I'm very impatient. I wish it would happen already, but I think what we're seeing right now is the exposing of this dark that has ruled Earth for eons, and all of their corruption. I don't know if you've been on X, but it's all coming out. And Elon's calling them all out. Like, you're seeing all the government people getting fired, and it's so corrupt. And I don't think people understand the amount of hoarded wealth that has been siphoned off humanity to keep us slaves,
Yeah.
for these greedy, power hungry beings. All of that's going to come back to humanity. So just have faith and do your inner work, and truly walk the path. Don't just talk about it. Like your presence, Matt. Like, I go to these events where I'm around the spiritual community, and then they project one form of being online, and then you meet them and it's totally different. So it's like, I don't ever want to be that person
Yeah.
where people meet me in person and they're disappointed. It's like, I'm the same person, no matter what. You know, you got to like walk the talk.
Yeah. I love that. You make it so simple, it really is. It's simple, like, don't judge, watch your thoughts,
Yeah.
stay in gratitude, and everything else, and then just trust everything, have faith. Things will fall into place.
Yeah,
It
and I'm not perfect by any means. I fall off all the time, and I have to get my ass kicked a little bit and get back on track.
You gotta get back on the horse every
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the most important part, is just get back up, just don't
Have
notice you
yeah.
fall off, like, don't just stay there, like, "Okay, so, all right,
Have
there."
love and compassion for yourself, because we're not perfect. We came in to be humans, which are messy and chaotic, and there's so many things that we're dealing with. So giving yourself some grace and just doing the best that you can. because there is no perfection. If we were perfected, we would not be here on earth. We came here to have imperfections, to learn how to overcome and heal them, and navigate through that. So
Yeah, beautiful. If people want to contact you or work with you, how can they find you?
yeah, so right now all I offer, well, I offer free Healy sessions or donation based, and then I do my ceremony stuff. And I'll also share all my audiobooks and different tools. So um, on X, it's Awakened Veteran 22. Um, and then my Instagram is AM for Anthony Michael. So AM and then Piazza, Piazza 22. And then I don't know if you can find me on Facebook, but Tony Piazza. So
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know my link tree, otherwise I would say it, but
Well, Linktree, yeah, Linktree's tricky. I don't think it's as simple as just doing linktree.com. So I don't know. Like I clicked on your Linktree and it was like all these characters and stuff. But if people go to your Facebook page, just look up Tony Piazza on Facebook. You can message him there. He's got his Linktree there. Yeah, book a Healy session. Fantastic. Okay. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up because I know you've got places to go and people to see. And this has been a really beautiful conversation. And just feels really wonderful to connect with you. And yeah, just hearing all the good news, really, it's just really exciting. I think, the next decade or two and more, I think things are going to be changing so quickly.
yeah, it's going to be rapid. They're picking up speed. So just hang on and have faith and keep it moving. If you need help, reach out. But
Yeah.
like no one else can do, you cannot save anyone else, and no one else, you can't do the work for anyone else. So all you can do is be a living example and plant seeds and support. And that's it. Without attachment, you can't have attachment to their outcome. So
Yeah.
all sorts of lessons to learn as you navigate the human experience. But yeah, I'll keep you posted on what comes up at this convention with my artifacts and stuff.
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, please do. All right. Well, thanks, Tony. And thanks to everyone who is watching or is watching the replay. Please like and subscribe. Check out Tony and his link tree and sending lots of love. So thank you so much.
All right.
All
Of
right.
course. Thank you.